Welcome back, everybody. So, for this second review, I wanted to do a more obscure movie that I almost never hear talked about in the horror community, and that is 1980's Fade to Black, directed by Vernon Zimmerman, starring Dennis Christopher, Tim Thompson, Linda Carriage, young Mickey Rourke in a small role, and Eve Brent. Um, First thing I have to talk about is Dennis Christopher's performance in this movie. He is unreal in this movie. Amazing performance. Just the way he quotes his movies and does impressions of characters and everything. Absolutely incredible. His performance in this. This movie should be talked about so much more, just for his performance alone. Like really, really great stuff. And I'll be saying that a few times during this. But so Eric Binford is a loner film fanatic who basically is obsessed with film. During the day, he works in a film distribution center, and every night he just watches classic movies and all his favorite films. And who eventually starts declining mentally into insanity and starts recreating scenes from his favorite movies to kill people who have betrayed him or belittled him. It's a very good premise. It's a very original premise. Could they have executed it better? Yes. There are a few things that don't hit the way that really they should. But overall, I think they did a pretty good job with it. So we open up in Eric's room, and his room is a film fan's absolute wet dream. There's just posters everywhere, pictures, everything of all classic films and everything. He lives with his Aunt Stella. Stella! Brownie points if you got that reference. So she comes in and she's a bitch, this woman. She really is. Abusive almost to a point. And she's handicapped in a wheelchair. She used to be a dancer, and she got paralyzed from the waist down, so she's in a wheelchair. She comes in to wake Eric up and opens the shades, blasts music. What a dick move. Don't do that to wake somebody up. She took him in after his mom died, giving birth to him, is what we hear at the beginning of the film. And she blames Eric for her paralysis because when he was 4 years old, the babysitter called his aunt and had her come home, and she got in an accident or something like that. 4 years old? Really? You're going to blame your nephew for your paralysis when he was a 4-year-old child? Come on. Seriously? That's fucked up. His boss at the film distribution center is just a terrible boss. Hates this guy. Hates Eric beyond belief. I did think it was awesome that there are posters for Tourist Trap and Halloween in the boss's office. Why they're in the boss's office instead of Eric's little studio, I don't know. Maybe the boss is a horror fan. Maybe, possible. It doesn't strike me as one, though. And he ends up yelling at Eric for not delivering film prints or whatever to the customer that he was supposed to the day before. And Eric also asks for cash because he lost the petty cash, which again infuriates the boss, who happens to have heart problems and needs a bypass soon. So he's constantly taking heart medication. And then we meet Dr. Moriarty, played by Tom Thompson. Not a good performance in this movie. Like, I haven't seen him in many other things, but just didn't do it for me. Like, it just wooden acting, just not really good at all. He's a psychiatrist or psychologist and wants to rehabilitate criminals instead of throwing them in jail. So he's working with the captain of the police department, Captain Gallagher, to try to rehabilitate these criminals. And the captain just thinks it's all bullshit. And he just thinks that all these criminals should just rot in jail. So we meet a female officer who I think is new on the job, cute girl, and they're talking about the captain and how he doesn't seem to like Moriarty, the doctor, at all, and she tells him that he's trying to be a tougher cop than his father was, that his father was shot down by a dope fiend in an alley. And female cop immediately flirts with this doctor, like instantly upon meeting him. And so then we cut to a scene with Marilyn and her friend running on the beach. And she has a funny line saying that the friend says, well, you get a lot of guys. And she says, yeah, when all their girlfriends are out of town. Made me chuckle. Eric makes a bet with two people from work, one played by a young Mickey Rourke, I believe Richie is his name in the film, about the movie Casablanca, and makes a bet $20 each from both of them if they don't get it right in 48 hours. Or if they do get it, he'll pay them $50 each. And the bet was what was Rick's full name in Casablanca, which Mickey Rourke thinks, easy peasy, I got this, and he doesn't and can't figure it out. So Eric goes to a diner and he ends up meeting Marilyn Monroe, lookalike. And he stares at this woman and daydreams about her singing Happy Birthday, Mr. President, but to Eric, for a good, I counted, 30 seconds long, with the creepiest grin on his face staring at her. If anyone looked at a girl like this for that long, that creepily, you would come out of that daydream with two cops on either side of you, and you would be instantly taken in for questioning. I thought that was hilarious, the way he just stares at her, and she doesn't seem fazed by it one bit. So he says, you look like Marilyn Monroe, and she says, everybody says that to me. And he starts speaking to her as if she is actually Marilyn Monroe, which is kind of what sets off his descent mentally into craziness. And 30-second stare, takes film, starts calling her Marilyn and asks her a question about a film that she was in, and they couldn't guess it, but it's Creature from the Black Lagoon. He does a creepy imitation of the Creature from the Black Lagoon, too. Like any woman in their right mind would stay as far away from this person as possible. But she says, want to give me a lift back to work? Crazy. And he does, and they're talking while they're taking the ride to her job and talking about film and stuff like that, and that Eric's dream is to open up his own movie theater and where he can play any movie he wants whenever he wants. So again, huge film buff. And I took a lot of notes, so strap in, because there are a lot of movie references in this movie. And I'm not big on 30s, 40s, 50s cinema and stuff. I've seen some of these movies that are referenced in here, like White Heat and Kiss of Death and stuff, but I'm sure I missed a lot of other references. So if anybody has seen this movie and knows other references that I missed, feel free to comment on them in the comments down below. So then we cut to the doctor sniffing coke and playing the harmonica very well, actually. But he's coked out of his mind playing harmonica, and the female cop sees him and kind of shakes her head and gets a laugh out of it, though. And we cut to one of the weirdest sex scenes I've ever seen. They're fucking in the bed, all under the covers, can't see anything. They pop out of the covers, and he's holding a box of Ritz crackers in his hand. Who does this? Who has a box of Ritz crackers in bed with them while they're having sex? The only person I've ever seen eat while having sex is George Costanza. And he's fictional, so we're not even going to count that. And he has some funny lines in this too. They talk about, there's some social commentary in this movie briefly they talk about TV and movie violence and how it affects the youth of the time and stuff like that in real life. This has been talked about and debated for decades and decades now. I personally don't think violence in movies, TV, or video games affect people to go out and commit real crimes. Of course it happens every now and then, but there are exceptions, but that's with anything basically. So he asks the cop, he picks her gun up and says, do you know how to use this thing? Do you know how to use this thing? No, she went through the academy, they gave her a gun, never taught her how to use it, and no, she has no clue how to use it. What a stupid question that was. And the scene just ends with him saying, I never fucked a cop before. Smash cut to the next scene. Really random and funny. Then we see Eric sends secretly a Marilyn Monroe poster to Marilyn. Her name actually is Marilyn. I forget her last name, but her first name is Marilyn, which makes it even more creepy. Eric and his aunt live in a creepy-ass house. They show the outside of it a few times. Every time I see it, I say, that is a creepy house. Something about it. I don't know, it has like the windows kind of like Amityville that like look like eyes, sort of like a really weird, creepy looking house. So his Cary Grant impression about his date to his aunt, telling him that he's going on a date with that girl Marilyn. They're going to meet at a movie theater at 8 p.m. to see a movie that he says the movie will be a surprise. And he asks, his aunt Stella asks, who's this girl? And he says Marilyn Monroe. And she says, oh my God, like sighs, my nephew's crazy. And Marilyn accidentally stands Eric up for the date and basically pushes him towards his descent into his insanity. And a lot of the shots of LA and all the landmarks and stuff like that, really cool to see in this movie. This guy, Eric, smokes so many cigarettes, like he smokes all the cigarettes. Like every scene he's in, he's smoking a cigarette. This guy doesn't have to worry about dying at the end of the movie. He would have died from cancer. But all the cigarettes this guy smokes. And so he ends up, after he gets stood up by Marilyn, he meets a prostitute who he offers $10 to, and she belittles him, makes fun of him, and basically just says, if you have balls, I hope you freeze them off, or something like that. The way that he's engrossed watching film in his room is really interesting. Just the way that he looks and just like is entranced by like the scenes that he's watching and stuff. Really cool stuff. He ends up killing his Aunt Stella, who's in the wheelchair, by pushing her down the stairs, recreating the scene from, I think it's Kiss of Death. Yeah, from Kiss of Death. And after she breaks his projector, and then he just snaps and ends up pushing her down the stairs, and then has funny dialogue. It's 20th Century Fox presents Kiss of Death and names the actors and stuff. It's just, its performance is so fucking good. It's really, really fucking amazing. And so the next day at the funeral, Eric dresses like Tommy Udo from Kiss of Death, and nobody notices because he's the film buff and they aren't. He wanted her ashes next to Marilyn Monroe's grave, but they said they couldn't do that. I like how the film is cut. Like, there's the classic films that he's recreating are spliced in, like scenes from it are spliced into the movie as it goes on, and like during the kill scenes. Cool stuff. I like that. So he gets home, he burns his aunt's books, and he ashes his cigarette in her ashes, which is fucked up no matter how big of a bitch she was. Shot of Eric holding his face like this in a small mirror with the big mirror behind it. Awesome shot. It's like shows how like the duality of his personality and how it's starting to split. Like, I really like that shot. Good shot. So he dresses as Dracula and attends a showing of Night of the Living Dead, which is really cool to see people's reaction to the daughter with the shovel or the whatever it is, you know, killing her mother and stuff. And I think it's funny. One of the women in the crowd goes to whisper to her friend, and Erica immediately shushes the hell out of her. Like, that's how engrossed he is in his films. He changes his mailbox name to Cody Jarrett and the street name to 99 River Street, both references to White Heat. Then we have a Psycho scene where he comes in dressed as Dracula and sets up exactly like the Psycho shower scene. And she's in the shower. He opens up the curtain. She screams, and he's holding a pen. Why would you hold a pen like this? He says, I just wanted your autograph, and tosses the pen into the shower. Then the ink goes down the drain and stuff, just like the blood from Psycho. Really cool stuff. I like that. And his mental state starts declining more and more after that. And his two guys at work, Mickey Rourke's character and the other one who bully him constantly, welch on the bet. It's been like 2 weeks since they made the bet, and they never came up with the answer, but they will not pay him. So they're at a carnival, and comes along Eric, dressed as Hopalong Cassidy. And really cool how they made him up and everything like that. He looks actually pretty terrifying. and he kicks a gun over to Mickey Rourke's character and challenges him to a duel, basically. And unknowing to Mickey Rourke's character, it's not a loaded gun, but Eric's is, and he shoots him dead. Then we get to the Dr. Moriarty again starts saying that Eric is a bit strange after interviewing them after the shooting of Mickey Rourke's character. And then Eric goes and hitchhikes and meets a producer who he pitches a movie idea that he had called Alabama and the 40 Thieves, I believe it was. And this producer says it's a great idea, you have a good feel for film and everything, you should give me a call at the studio, builds him up, makes him feel good about this. And he gets out of the car and he goes back home and starts saying to his Aunt Stella, who obviously is dead, saying that we made it, we're going to, I met a producer, he's going to make my movie, he loves the idea, blah, blah, blah. And obviously he's just losing grip on reality. He's talking to a jar of ashes. So he goes to a little food shop or something like that, and the food guy tells him that Marilyn Monroe has been dead for years, because Eric asks him if he ever saw Marilyn come out of the building across the street. And he says, Marilyn's been dead for years, you know that. And Eric snaps, saying, no, she's not, no, she is not, and more slipping into insanity. So we end up he dresses up as Cody Jarrett from White Heat and goes to the producer in a barbershop in complete daylight with a bunch of people in there. I think it was his birthday, the producer's birthday, with a old Tommy gun. And where did he get this old Tommy gun? It seems very, very, very strange that he'd be able to get this working Tommy gun this quickly. But it's a movie, so you can't really dissect it too much, but that's what I do, so who knows. So he sees an interview with the producer, and this is what gets him to go and kill him. The producer pretty much takes credit for his film idea, and he is infuriated by this, obviously, which is such a dick move. Come on, you're going to steal somebody's movie idea. This is why you don't pitch ideas and stuff without making sure that everything is protected before you start, telling your ideas to people, especially producers and people in Hollywood. His boss fires him, and he ends up getting revenge on his boss by dressing up as the Mummy and going into his old job at night. And I think it probably is a reference to Halloween, because there's Halloween playing on Eric's TV a little earlier in the film, and there's also a Halloween poster in his old job where the boss is, and a cop comes and checks on the boss, and his name is Sam. So I'm guessing it's a reference to Sam Loomis, but I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was intended. And again, because the boss has heart issues, he's being chased by Eric dressed as the Mummy, and he's holding a flashlight as the mummy, which I thought was kind of strange. I mean, you could have done that without the flashlight. What mummy holds a flashlight like that? I don't know. Maybe mummies like flashlights. Maybe they do that. I don't know any mummies, so I can't really tell you. So after he ends up scaring his boss to death, and he doesn't even kill him, he ends up just scaring him into a heart attack, and he drops dead. And he just cackles with his insane laughter. Again, amazing job. He's so fucking good in this movie. After he kills the producer, his identity is exposed to the cops and the Dr. Moriarty, and everyone knows it's Eric Binford that's been killing all these people. So he ends up going to... also, I like after every kill scene, they fade to black to the next scene, which obviously calls back to the title of the film. Also calls to his mental state of, he starts off kind of normal. He's still really fucking crazy from the beginning, but his descent is him fading to black. So it's a nice little, it's a good title for the movie. So Marilyn gets a call for a modeling job and ends up getting lured into this modeling job by Eric. And we see Dr. Moriarty and the female cop driving and trying to get there before Marilyn could get hurt by Eric. And we find out that Aunt Stella is actually Eric's birth mother that she gave up because back in the day it would have been a scandal and ruined her dance career. She was a big dancer, so she never told Eric that she is her actual his actual mother. So Marilyn gets to the modeling place with Eric. Eric drugs her and reenacts a scene from The Prince and the Showgirl. Amazingly shot. Like, there's some great shots in that scene, like especially when they start dancing and everything, like with just the way the room looks and everything. It's real great stuff. Love it. While they're driving, the police officer says, why is there so much traffic? And there is literally no traffic on the, like, there's not a car in front of them. So I don't know what the hell that's about, but there was no traffic. Like, I don't know what her excuse was. So they break in, Moriarty and the female cop, and he gets shot in the leg by Eric. And the cop goes to shoot him, and Moriarty pushes her gun down. Yeah, this would never happen. You see somebody with a gun in their hand, you're a cop, you are shooting that person dead. No way is she going to listen to him and just put her gun down and let him get away. That was stupid. Fucking really stupid. So he's shot in the leg, and they start trying to follow Eric as he takes Marilyn with him and tries escaping, which leads them to the Man Chinese Theater, which is, again, beautiful shots of the theater and that area and everything like that. And there's a whole crowd, like, below, because they make their way up to the roof, him and Marilyn. And she's drugged. She doesn't even know what's going on. And there's a whole crowd watching them on the roof and stuff. The captain of the police is telling them if he points his gun, shoot him, but only if he points his gun. And he doesn't, and some trigger-happy cop shoots him. Looks like he got shot right near the heart or in the heart, but he's still alive. And he is shot a few more times after that, and there's helicopters going around and everything. Crazy scene. I can't imagine being there and seeing something like that, like some crazy lunatic on top of the Chinese theater. Absolutely crazy. And he's just keeps playing into character as Cody Jarrett, and just keeps on with the lines that he keeps going on with. It's just, his insanity has just reached its peak, and he's just really just completely gone at that point. And the doctor still wants to save him. He's telling him, just give yourself up, we can fix this, blah, blah, blah. The captain's saying, shut the fuck up to the doctor. They do not get along at all. And he ends up being shot and killed on the top of this roof. And basically recreates Cody Jarrett's death from White Heat. And his last words are the same from White Heat, saying, I finally made it, Ma, top of the world. And he falls to his death in slow motion. And it ends and closes with a shot of Eric's room as we pass through a picture of Marilyn Monroe and the rest of his room, and credits. I do not see this movie talked about hardly ever. And it really is a disturbing film. Like, I get disturbed by this movie. Like, just the idea of someone being that film obsessed. And I mean, I'm a film fanatic, and I'm sure a lot of you horror fans are the same way. But to, like, blur the lines of reality like that, it's got to be such a scary thing to go through and have no one to help you. It's a very disturbing film that's not talked about enough. Dennis Christopher's performance, as I keep saying, is absolutely phenomenal. You should watch this for just him alone. And let me know if anybody's seen this movie, what you think about it, and thanks for tuning in.